January 8, 1984, in the sold-out Los Angeles Coliseum, over 92,000 fans, the largest crowd in AFC Championship game history, cheered their Raiders on to victory over Seattle and onward to Super Bowl XVIII. From the start, an intimidating Raider defense dominated, with big plays by number 37, left corner Lester Hayes, and by number 22, right corner Mike Hayes. Raider mind and muscle overpowered Seahawk runners, and led by the big hits of number 77, Lyle Alzado, the silver and black held Seattle to just 167 yards, while racking up 4 quarterback sacks. Raider defenders attacked relentlessly, with tough coverage by linebackers like Jeff Barnes, number 56. Four times alert play and defensive design created interceptions, including another of the many key plays by number 55, fiery inside linebacker Matt Miller. Battle-hardened quarterback Jim Plunkett handled an offense that controlled the ball for 37 minutes, completing passes to receivers like number 80, speedster Malcolm Barnwell. More than 400 yards of offense, including 2 touchdowns by number 27, Frank Hawkins, were powered in part by the bruising offensive line of number 70, Henry Lawrence, Mickey Marvin, Dave Dalby, Charlie Hanna, and Bruce Davis. Number 46, All-Pro Todd Christensen, helped clear the way for number 32, the brilliant Marcus Allen, a 1,000-yard rusher for the season. Meticulous preparation by offensive assistants Sam Bogosian, Larry Kennan, Bob Meshach, Art Shell, Tom Walsh, and Ray Wilsey guided Marcus Allen's rush for 154 yards. Allen also caught 7 passes and totaled 216 yards, as these proud Raiders, under head coach Tom Flores, won another championship 30-14.
You guys were magnificent. We played a great football game, dominated. We deserve to be the champs and represent this conference. We're going to Tampa, baby. We're going to
For Tom Flores, the 1983 squad, and the Raiders' undaunted partners, the Tampa trip began in Cincinnati, where guard Charlie Hanna replaced the injured Kurt Marsh, and number 33, Kenny King, along with Marcus Allen, number 32, ripped through the Bengals. In this 200th consecutive game for linebacker Ted Hendricks, the defense dominated Cincinnati runners, receivers, and passers. Number 71, talented rookie Bill Pickell, had 2 sacks, and Pro Bowl-bound Howie Long, number 75, helped seal a 20-10 triumph. A home win over Houston was followed by a Monday night challenge from Miami, in which scores by halfback Greg Pruitt and tight end Todd Christensen sparked the offense. The defense featured fierce tacklers like Ted Watts, Rod Martin, Van McElroy, and Irvin Phillips, while turnovers were created by aggressive backs like James Davis, number 45. Pressure meant big plays, the biggest of which is described by the veteran radio voice of the Raiders, KRLA's Bill King.
Woodley back. There they go out. Here's a rush. He's hit. He fumbles. Ball loose at the 35. After it is Townsend. Picks it up to the 40, to the 50. Lumping to the 45, to the 40. He has a blocker. Greg Townsend racing 65 yards with a recovered fumble. Electrifies the LA Coliseum. A little more.
Save that one for the highlight film, Bill. That one's definitely going in.
Mastery over Miami added to the Los Angeles Raiders' incredible Monday night record. In Week 4, the Raiders traveled to Denver's Mile High Stadium, where intimidating defense confronted the Broncos, and where John Elway was welcomed by Ted Hendricks and by Van McElroy, number 26, who intercepted twice. The Raiders recorded 5 sacks, 2 by number 93, ferocious rookie defensive end Greg Townsend. And while the defensive line pillaged the Bronco pass pocket, the offensive line of Davis, Hanna, Dalby, Marvin, and Lawrence allowed time to find number 21, Cliff Branch, for 2 touchdowns and a 22-7 victory. Next, a cross-country trip to Washington found Raider defenders recording 6 more sacks, 5 of them by powerful third-year pro Howie Long. With Marcus Allen sidelined, the Raiders threw for almost 400 yards, including 112 yards and 2 touchdowns by Calvin Muhammad, number 82, plus a record-setting entry in the Raiders' exciting long passing tradition.
Play fake, Plunkett back, throwing, way up the field, Branch plenty of room, makes the catch at the 35, the 50, the 40, the 30, he's going all the way, 99 yards, touchdown Raiders! Holy Toledo!
Another record was Greg Pruitt's 97-yard punt return, with blocks by Darrell Byrd, Tony Caldwell, Otis McKinney, and Rick Burns. But one of the greatest games of recent years was decided by turnovers, as the Redskins came back 37-35. Returning to Los Angeles for Week 6, the hostile Raiders hounded and pounded Kansas City with 5 more sacks and punishing play by number 51, veteran linebacker Bob Nelson. Jim Plunkett, utilizing Raider receiving depth, hit number 28, Clee Montgomery, then went to the league's top pass catcher in 1983, tight end Todd Christensen, number 46. Marcus Allen demonstrated his passing skill with a touchdown to gifted rookie Dokie Williams, number 85, as the Raiders remained atop the tough AFC West. After a 2-point Raider loss in Seattle, number 6, Mark Wilson, started in Dallas, and a huge national television audience saw Pro Sports' winningest team explode for 519 yards against the previously undefeated Cowboys. Number 31, tight end Derek Jensen, scored an important early touchdown, and Raider running back showed their versatility as number 32, Marcus Allen, displayed multiple talents as a runner and as a receiver. And the Raider attack was complemented perfectly by tenacious fullback Frank Hawkins.
Wilson goes back with a play fake, has time. He's throwing down the right side. Hawkins, touchdown Raiders!
Third-year pro Frank Hawkins demonstrated his versatility, not only by catching a touchdown pass, but also by rushing for 118 yards and another Raider touchdown. The silver and black defense controlled the vaunted Cowboy ground game, and came up with timely interceptions by cornerback Ted Watts, number 20, and by safety Otis McKinney, number 23. Then came another last-second drive that gave meaning to the Raiders' commitment to excellence.
Wilson back again, steps up, throws. Williams wide open on an out pattern. First and goal to go. Wilson will hold the spot. The kick, it is good and far with a 26-yard field goal.
Chris Barr's kick behind Shelby Jordan, Don Mosbar, Ed Moransky, and Don Hasselbeck gave the Raiders a 40-38 triumph. A trip to Kansas City followed a loss to Seattle, and Mark Wilson accounted for an early score with a perfect pass to Frank Hawkins. But Wilson later suffered a broken shoulder, and field leadership returned to the remarkable veteran Jim Plunkett. With Cliff Branch injured, Plunkett made good use of younger receivers like Malcolm Barnwell, Calvin Muhammad, and number 85, Dokie Williams, as the Raiders' explosive offense rolled on. The defense attacked, led by Howie Long, Mike Davis, Reggie Kinlaw, and number 58, Jack Squirick. The clincher came from number 53, outstanding linebacker Rod Martin, who converted turnover to touchdown as the Raiders remained atop the division with a 28-20 win. After 10 weeks, the Raiders were 7-3, and loyal Los Angeles fans came out to support their drive for an 11th division championship. In a tight struggle with the contending Broncos, the Raiders overcame a 10-point deficit and again gave Denver passers and ball carriers constant pressure, from the young warriors of the AFC's top pass rush to the gallant veterans of the silver and black defensive brigade. Hunter Ray Guy performed superbly on special teams, as did Kenny Hill, Steve Sylvester, Chester Willis, Jeff Barnes, and David Hum.
Hum will hold. Tension abounds. Snap, spot, kick on the way. Good! Chris Barr from 40!
Raiders special teams again met the challenge, as Chris Barr's kick meant victory 22-20. The next week in Buffalo, the combative Raiders closed down the Bills' running game, and veterans Ted Hendricks, Lyle Alzado, and Rod Martin created interceptions for Lester Hayes and number 36, Mike Davis. The offense slashed for over 400 yards, with Kenny King and Marcus Allen leading the way. But Chris Barr again had the dramatic last word.
3 seconds remaining. Barr's ready. Shelby snaps. It's spotted. It's kicked. It's good! And the Raiders have won!
In San Diego, Todd Christensen moved closer to his season's total of 92 receptions, an NFL record for tight ends.
Jensen in motion all the way across. Quick toss to Allen. Fakes left, comes back right, throwing deep. Christensen open, makes the catch at the 5. Touchdown Raiders! Holy Toledo! Plunkett, play fake, back, looking at the end zone. Which one? Christensen! Touchdown Raiders! As Plunkett really hung that one on a rail, a frozen rope. It's to Christensen. He makes a one-handed catch. Touchdown Raiders!
The feared Raider defense also shown on the Thursday night telecast with 6 sacks and 4 turnovers, including interceptions by strong safety Mike Davis and by free safety Van McElroy, and still another touchdown return by Rod Martin. Los Angeles overcame a 10-point deficit to score 42 unanswered points, and including a victory over the Giants a week earlier, had won 5 in a row. Following a loss to St. Louis, Raider game breakers were ready for the Charger rematch. This time, Raider offensive might struck for almost 500 yards, featuring the lethal speed of Cliff Branch, number 2 receiver in club history, who scored the 67th touchdown of his distinguished career. The '83 season was a fitting tribute to courageous Raider partner Ed McGaw, who passed away in September. Since 1963, when Al Davis pledged to build the greatest organization in sports, the Raiders have totally dominated pro football and all other sports in terms of consistent victory, easily topping baseball's best, the Baltimore Orioles. Basketball's best, the Boston Celtics. And hockey's best, the Montreal Canadiens. Only these amazing Raiders top a .700 winning percentage these 21 years. For 3 memorable decades, the Raider organization has had the greatest players, the greatest coaches, and played in football's greatest games. This tradition of greatness continued in 1983, when Willie Brown became the 3rd Raider in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. New Year's Day, 1984. Over 92,000 Los Angeles fans witnessed the AFC playoff against the Central Division champion Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, here we go. Stout back, sets up, delivers one to Sweeney, intercepted Hayes, 18-yard line, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Raiders! Lester Hayes!
Hayes' touchdown triggered a dominating defense, led by middle guards Reggie Kinlaw, number 62, and Johnny Robinson, number 68. 5 times, Steeler quarterbacks were sacked, thanks to aggressive strategy by defensive coaches Willie Brown, Chet Franklin, Earl Leggett, and Charlie Sumner. A Raider offense that would not be denied posted over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, one of them a reverse field gem by Kenny King. Frank Hawkins blasted across behind Derek Jensen and Shelby Jordan, and also helped clear the way for Marcus Allen, who went topside for still another Raider touchdown. Marcus Allen rushed for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns as he aided the Silver and Black to a 38-10 rout and a berth in the championship game for the 11th time in Raider history.
All right, we know it has to be done, and we know how to do it. I'm proud of you. You guys were great.
After devastating Seattle 30-14 for the AFC Championship, the Raiders were bound for glory and their 4th Super Bowl. Tom Flores and every wearer of silver and black were primed and ready.
This is it, gang. This is it.
The Raiders dominated the NFC champion Redskins in every way. First, special teams captain Derek Jensen, prepped by coach Steve Ortmeyer and assistant coach Terry Robisky, blocked a punt and recovered it for the game's first touchdown. Touchdown number 2 teamed passing partners Cliff Branch and Jim Plunkett. Dedicated pass protectors and aerial design based on attacking deep with pressure football, not percentage football. With number 62 middle guard Reggie Kinlaw controlling the center of Washington's line, the Raiders held the top-scoring team in NFL history to just 9 points and shut down powerful John Riggins, including a 4th and 1 play that made the final outcome obvious. Playing with controlled fury, Raider defenders downed Joe Theismann 6 times, led by Rod Martin, Matt Millen and company. A Mike Davis safety blitz forced 1 turnover, while another blitz helped 6-time All-Pro Mike Haynes intercept. But the biggest turnover occurred just before halftime.
Theismann back, looks off to the left, he fires it out there, intercepted, Jack Squirrel, touchdown Raiders! I don't believe it! Holy Toledo!
We got 30 minutes of Raider football, baby. 30 minutes of Raider football, and it's all ours. No let up, no let up. Let's go!
There was no let-up as these Raiders dominated as no Super Bowl team ever had. From veterans like Alzado, Nelson, Guy, and Dave Stalls, to youngsters like Long, Townsend, Pickell, Jim Romano, Jack Squirek, and most valuable player Marcus Allen, who set a Super Bowl record with 191 yards rushing.
Here's a quick pitch. Going to the right is Allen back in the game. Cuts back at the 50. He may have a chance to go all the way. 45-40. Down to the 30. One man has an angle. Washington finally gets him and pulls him out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Holy Toledo. Marcus Allen. Plunkett giving the ball here to Allen. Cut back over the middle. Dances. 3, 2, 1. Touchdown Raiders. A marvelous piece of zigzag dancing. 26-yard line. Plunkett giving to Allen, sending him wide left. He has to reverse his field, but he gets away for a moment. Comes back up to the middle, 30, 25, 40. Breaks past 2 men at the 50, down to the 40, picking up a blocker. Holy Toledo! It's all over, and the Raiders have dominated beyond the wildest dreams of the most loyal Raider follower here or in any other universe.
Just win, baby. I just want to say, 2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future. And with all the great teams we've had, I think today that this organization, this team, this coaching staff dominated so decisively that 2 things must be said. Not only, in my opinion, are you the greatest Raider team of all time, I think you rank with the great teams of all time that have ever played any professional sport. Just win, baby.
It was one of the finest seasons in the 64-year history of the National Football League. In all of professional sports, no other league packs so much excitement and drama into game day.
All right, Bunch, here's a chance. We got the ball first. Let's get a block. Go to kickoff. Let's bring it out. Let's have some fun, man. Let's
As always, there were dominant players and dominant teams. But never in the league's history has a championship chase been at the fingertips of so many. Detroit Lions rode the enthusiasm and talent of running back Billy Sims, number 20, to their first division championship since 1957. Another inspirational performance was turned in by Atlanta's Billy Johnson, number 81, who was named the comeback player of 1983. After 2 knee operations as a Houston Oiler, a brief stint in Canada, and a year on the bench in Atlanta, it seemed that the career of Billy White Shoes was over. But in 1983, number 81 destroyed such notions with a season so stunning it made believers of dreamers everywhere.
Now they've got to go to the end zone with 2 seconds left.
Are we talking Hail Mary, or are we talking reception and lateral?
I would say right here you've got to go to Billy White Shoes and let him do a little dance with the ball and try to go for the end zone. Here come the Falcons with Hodge, Bailey, and Johnson all to the left side. 2 seconds remain. 49ers will come with a 3-man rush. Bartkowski to throw. He is going long down the near sideline. It's going to be a jump ball, and it is pulled down by Billy Johnson. Johnson inside the 10, 5. He is down. He is. Give it to him. He's in. Touchdown. Touchdown, Atlanta. Billy Johnson. It's a touchdown.
No time on the clock.
The Falcons have won it. They pulled it from nowhere. The Falcons have won it. Big Ben left, and it worked.
Full moon over Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, and Shoes did his thing.
Billy White Shoes Johnson, a touchdown.
Once he caught it, he had no place to go. He got inside the 5, looked for daylight, and then dove for the end zone.
How about that?
Even though the Atlanta Falcons weren't a team of destiny, thanks to the proven skills of Billy Johnson, they were a team of daring and drama. In Denver, the Broncos were banking on the unproven pro skills of quarterback John Elway, the NFL's #1 draft choice. Number 7 won the starting job during preseason, but when the regular season kicked off, Elway couldn't stand up to the pressure. Denver's complex offense disoriented Elway, and he spent much of his first season just trying to get his bearings. But helped along by head coach Dan Reeves, Elway rebounded and led the Broncos to a wild card playoff berth. Never before has youth played such a part in turning NFL teams around. Running backs Eric Dickerson of the Rams, Kurt Warner of the Seahawks, and quarterback Dan Marino of the Dolphins all were rookies who were instrumental in their team's assault on the playoffs. Miami's Don Shula went with Marino in the season's 5th week, and number 13 responded by leading the AFC in passing, while directing the Dolphins to the AFC Eastern title. Marino gave Miami a deep passing game. Number 29, Eric Dickerson, gave the Rams a running attack and a playoff berth. Eric's 1,808 yards rushing led the NFL and were the highest total by a first-year player in NFL history. His 85-yard touchdown run against the Jets was also the longest run from scrimmage in 1983. The top rusher in the AFC was Seattle's first-round choice Kurt Warner, number 28. Thanks to this versatile and elusive rookie, the Seahawks soared to the first playoff berth in franchise history and made Chuck Knox the first head coach to lead 3 different teams into postseason play.
On the over here, they were going to overshift the line, and they were not going to adjust the second.
NFL '83 was a season of complexity. On offense, the one-back attack was in, and the defense had to find a way to stop it.
As you read this type of action, you've got to get depth because they've zipped the Z in so far that he'll be coming in behind you.
Modern defense is formulated around strength in numbers. But one powerful man on the line of scrimmage can still control the game. Outside linebackers like Lawrence Taylor of the Giants and number 53 Hugh Green of the Buccaneers emerged as the most dominant defenders in the game today. Their rare blend of athletic skill destroyed the best laid plans of an offense. In 1983, these and other talented players led a charge that resulted in an NFL record for defensive touchdowns in one season. With offenses spread all over the field and passing the football at a record clip, turnovers turned into touchdowns as defenders found that they could remedy an unfavorable situation with a single blow. Because of this wide-open approach, the pulse of any game could change rapidly. But this was more the result of the NFL's offenses, whose imaginative plans of attack were as deceiving as they were delightful to watch. Not since the pass-happy days of the 1950s have so many spirals filled the air. Green Bay's Lynn Dickey was one of 3 quarterbacks who threw for over 4,000 yards. Atlanta's Steve Bartkowski was the NFL's top-ranked passer. With 92 receptions, Los Angeles Raider tight end Todd Christensen led all receivers. Teams won by passing when they wanted to pass, not when the defense dictated that they could. While 1983 featured great individual talent, only the great teams won.
All right, let's go split right close, 20 paint. 20.
With its one back, 2 tight ends, and pre-snap movement, the Washington Redskin offense, quarterbacked by Joe Theismann, scored 541 points, the highest in NFL history. Their flash dance passing was complemented by bullish John Riggins, who set an NFL record with 24 touchdowns. Armed with the best offense in football and the league's toughest defense to run against, the Redskins bred the conviction in an opponent that they would have to play a perfect game to beat them. Only 2 did, as Washington won 14 regular season games and then 2 more en route to the NFC Championship. The rise of the Redskins over the past 2 seasons has been at the expense of one of the league's most consistent winners, the Dallas Cowboys. In 1983, the Cowboys' shotgun was loaded once again with deadly ammunition. The end zone always seemed in the range of number 33, Tony Dorsett, and number 11, Danny White. On both sides of the football, Dallas could shoot down an opponent, and 12 times in 1983, they did just that. Only Dallas appeared to have the firepower to stop the rampaging Redskins. And in their Monday night season opener, the Cowboys overcame a 23-0 halftime lead to win 31-30. They would win 11 out of their next 13 games and had only to beat Washington at home in the season's 15th Sunday to win the Eastern Division Championship. It began as a typical Cowboy and Redskin shootout. In the first half, the Cowboys were swept under a wave of burgundy that was stirred up by Joe Theismann. But late in the third quarter, with the contest still undecided, the Cowboys faced a 4th and 1. The plan was to lure Washington off sides and never snap the ball. But at the line of scrimmage, Danny White audibled into an off-tackle play that proved to be the downfall of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas was routed 35-10. And 2 weeks later, the Los Angeles Rams kicked the Cowboys right out of the wild card playoffs. Suddenly, Dallas's 18th consecutive winning season and impressive 12-4 record was overshadowed by their failure to get to the Super Bowl. The New Orleans Saints have never been to a Super Bowl. In fact, they have never had a winning season.
One thing I want you to remember, football is only a small part of your life. It ain't life or death out there. All we got to do is go out and do the same thing we've asked from the first day we started. Do everything as good as you can, and then a little bit more. That's all the hell you got to do.
In his 3rd year as head coach, Bum Phillips rebuilt the Saints into a team that learned how to win. Led by old pro Kenny Stabler, number 16, New Orleans set their sights on something they had always wanted, but never had, a winning year. Much of the excitement stemmed from Bum's defense. The Saints were the NFC's top-ranked defenders, and by the season's final Sunday, New Orleans was but 1 game away from their elusive dream. Only the Los Angeles Rams stood in their way. Unfortunately, the Saints threw away their golden moment as the Rams scored on a punt return and 2 interceptions. With but 6 seconds remaining, a field goal finally ended Bum's quest of making his Saints winners. And they rode out of 1983 saddled with a record of 8 wins and 8 losses. The Los Angeles Raiders are at the opposite end of the spectrum from the Saints. During the last 20 years, they have been the winningest organization in pro sports. While some suggest that the game has taken on a vanilla flavor as teams seek to avoid mistakes, the Raiders still swing from the heels, regardless of which team has the football. The Raiders' philosophy is simple. Great players make great plays. Led by stars like Marcus Allen, number 32, they prove this by running away with the AFC Western Division title for the 9th time in the last 14 years. Los Angeles Raiders have been so typecast as intimidators and roughnecks that people forget how much genuine talent they have. But in the playoffs, they not only displayed their talent, they also showed that they were a team that knows how to run when the wire is near. The Raiders destroyed the Pittsburgh Steelers 38-10, then struck 12 on the Cinderella season of the Seattle Seahawks with a 30-14 pounding in the AFC Championship game. Only the Redskins blocked the championship chase of these mighty Raiders.
You guys were magnificent. We played a great football game. We deserve to be the champs and represent this conference. We're going to Tampa, baby. We're going to
Super Bowl 18. The Los Angeles Raiders and the defending world champion Washington Redskins. What seemed to be a perfect matchup quickly turned into a classic mismatch. The Raiders scored immediately, then turned loose their stable of thoroughbreds on the stunned Redskins. Marcus Allen ran for a Super Bowl record 191 yards, and quarterback Jim Plunkett passed the Raiders to a 14-3 lead. Redskins head coach Joe Gibbs watched helplessly as Raiders cornerback single-covered his speedy wide receivers. This freed the corner linebackers from outside pass coverage and allowed them to blitz and pressure Joe Theismann. The Redskin ground game fared even worse as the Raider inside linebackers shut down the inside power running of John Riggins. With but 12 seconds remaining in the half, the Redskins were backed against their own goal line. But instead of running out the clock, they gambled.
I felt that being behind 14-3, I was not comfortable with falling on the ball. I just wasn't going to do that. And as a matter of fact, the statement was made on the sideline, hey, maybe we ought to run a play. And I said, no, we're not. It was my decision. I made it.
Gibbs' decision resulted in Jack Squirick's interception and gave the Raiders a 21-3 halftime lead and ended the competitive phase of Super Bowl 18.
I think that if there had been a way for me to be on that sideline at that point in the game and stop the world right there, and if I could have, at that point, taken a vote from everybody that had been there or been watching on TV, and I think there'd been a lot of people said, hey, yeah, let's take a shot, you know, let's give that thing a shot. We don't want to just fall on the ball. We haven't done anything all day. I think there'd been a lot of people that would have said that. After it happened, I don't think I can find 5 that would say that, but hey, that's my job.
The Raiders raced to a blowout of unthinkable proportions, a 38-9 victory over the defending world champions.
Plunkett giving to Allen, setting him wide left. He has to reverse his field, but he gets away for a moment. Comes back up the middle of 30, 25, 40. Right past 2 men at the 50, down to the 40, picking up a blocker.
It was their 3rd world championship, and they had done it in a style befitting their swashbuckling image. As always, the season belongs to the champion, and 1983 belonged to the Los Angeles Raiders.